Hey folks, it's Nate. Thanks for joining me once again as we look to the horizon. And this is the last writing vlog of the year. Now, the astute observer has probably noticed that there is still a Wednesday left in this year. I don't plan to update in the week between Christmas and New Year's. First of all, I don't know how much there's going to be up to update on. And second, I just may be really busy in that time. And you know what? Everybody should take a week off every now and then. So I will not be updating you on the writing progress next week, which is, what it is. So hopefully we will have a big beginning of the year update in 2 weeks. I am working on laying out a roadmap. That is not something I typically do, or at least it's not something I have typically done. It is something I would like to start doing, kind of planning out what I hope to accomplish every year, so I can kind of have a road mark to help me determine how well I'm doing. And that is something I will be working a little bit on my time off. So we'll be talking that over in the next writing vlog, which will probably be more about that than what I'm actually working on minute to minute. I decided to do this in part because 2 years ago, artistically, I set myself a number of goals to try and hit over the course of a year. And although I didn't hit all of them, I do think it really helped me focus on what I needed to improve. And it gave me something to aim at. And that's really helpful. I think a lot of artists get lost in their possibilities, and they don't, as a result, actually ever narrow anything down and say, this is what really needs to happen. And setting a list of goals and deadlines as well really helps you with that focusing. So that is going to be something I'm trying to do as a writer in the year 2022. But enough about that. What happened in the last week? Well, mostly I did about another chapter of Fire and Gold, which is coming out pretty well. I am pleased, I think, so far with the way the pacing is going. Right now, things are moving faster than I expected they would. I don't know if that means looking back at it, I've discovered that the early part of the story, I did not have as many beats in my head as I was outlining it. I did not have the beats as well fleshed out as some of the later beats, and I just assumed that they would flesh themselves out as I was working on them. And what's actually happened is that as I've written them, I found that no, I really don't want to say as much as I thought I did on some of these beats, and they've just come out shorter than I expected. I'm thinking now that Fire and Gold may be no more than 15,000 words. It may be, I don't think it's going to be quite as short as 12,000 words, but we'll see. Each chapter is still running about 2,000 words. And now that I'm about 2.5 chapters in, I have finished my first page of the outline. So if I continue to go at this pace, that would be, so about 5,000 words. Yeah, it would be about 15,000 words exactly. It could be shorter than that. Again, I noticed that in my writing in general, the final plot points always seem to wind up being more words on the page than the earlier plot points. So it could very well stretch out to, say, 18,000 words. We'll see. We're still working on that. It is always interesting to see how scenes unfold as you really start to get into them and hammer out details and ask yourselves, do I really need to bring this up here? Should it go somewhere else? That kind of thing. And there's been a lot of that happening as I have worked on Fire and Gold. And in particular, a lot of questioning of how deeply you need to delve into a thing to get the story across. It is something of a fantasy series, and so you cannot expect all the fantastical elements, all the little pieces of mythology and folklore that you have picked out to try and include here. How much do they need to be delved into? That is very much a case-by-case call. And I think as I have begun to unpack things, although my antagonists are essentially a riff on the vampire archetype, I don't think you really need to do a whole lot of comparative examination of that or comparison of powers, especially given how very little outside of a a fascination with blood and the occult. Um, there's not a whole lot of similarities between these villains and the typical vampire in a horror story. So I think, on the whole, I'm just going to um, keep the details and the ideas very light, and I think it will be a better story for it. But it has made this introduction where I establish the capabilities of the villains and get them ready for their downfall is is shorter and more compact than I was originally thinking it might be. And I'm okay with that. Hopefully, I will catch any more exposition that is needed during the editing period. And now that I actually just realized this as I was speaking, which is what happens when you talk these ideas over out loud, and is one of the reasons why I started doing these vlogs. Um, I have noticed that I tend to have shorter early chapters on the first draft and then go back and expand them a bit in the editing. And that's an interesting part of the process now that I think about it. I wonder if trying to flesh all that out ahead of time rather than spending time on it in the editing process would be more or less effective. I will have to try and think of a way I can test that at some point. Um, I am very interested in the process of writing, just in and of itself for its own sake, as it were, as well as, of course, for the final product, which is important to me as well. But examining the process from different points of view and trying different things is one of the ways, fastest and best ways, in my opinion, to improve. So, yeah, I will. Maybe that's something to put on that outline for next year. Yeah, yeah, I will keep you posted on that. So that's something to look forward from my first vlog in 2022. Until then, I hope you have a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, and I will talk to you next year. In the meantime, there's a like button and a subscribe button down below. You can use as you see fit. If you have writing goals for the next year, I would love to hear about them. And maybe you'll inspire me to add another thing to my list for next year. I'll talk to y'all later.